Welcome everyone to another wildlife photo chat video. It's been quite some time since we recorded. I think it was like the beginning of December when we last recorded, Brad.
Yeah.
And it's now January 1st as we're recording. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we've been busy. We've been doing some stuff and both of us traveling and all that. So, we're getting back to it today. And so today's topic, we are going to have a topic, which is cool. We have a little bit of catch up to do, and then we're going to talk about, we set aside some of the concepts and ideas. So, everybody tends to do like a year-end review of, usually it's like their favorite photos, and we've done that in the past, but we kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. And so we thought we would kind of focus on what are some of the techniques and ideas and concepts that we've been toying with and starting out this past year that we want to kind of keep working with and like pushing and advancing our own creativity. Yeah, so we thought that would be like a little bit more of an interesting topic idea instead of just here's some favorite photos, and give us a little bit more to talk about, which is cool. So, other than that,
we just like to be different.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's you're damn right. We certainly do.
Yeah.
Other than that, before we get into the show, I do have to put out, or we do, a really good thank you for everybody that's been supporting the show with the new ability to send us some money for doing these shows. We have put them out for free. We don't ask anybody to pay to watch them, but we really appreciate everybody giving us some support. So the first person was Ann Tyndall, sent us some support, which thank you so much, Ann. We really appreciate you following the show and supporting us. We're super grateful. And then I have Instagrams for a few of the other people that sent in some donations. So Andy Bruner, who's been supporting the show for some time now, which is great. So Andy, thank you so much. And Andy's great. He's always promoting the show every time a new episode comes out. Yeah, so we appreciate that for sure. The next up, which we both had the pleasure of working with in Newfoundland, and I've worked with Deanne for quite some time now. Deanne Duggar supported the show, so thank you, Deanne, for your support, and
thanks, Dan.
Love seeing your amazing photos all the time. Next up, Melody Roberts from Florida. She's another mentorship student of mine, so she supported the show. So thank you so much, Melody. Nice. And please, everybody, feel free to please check out these photographers. And then
check them out.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last one was Gary Harvey, who doesn't have a website or anything like that for me to share. So Gary's been supporting the show a few times now, a few months. And so, Gary, thank you so much. So, yeah, for everybody, can't say thank you enough. Really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to us, for sure.
It does. Yeah. Oh, definitely. And we love doing this. And then it's almost like even more incentive then to like
absolutely
keep pumping stuff out, trying to come up with new things and teach. And, like Ray and I love having these chats and catching up, but I think it's so fantastic to
I get tired of talking to Brad, so
and,
give me money to do this and deal with him.
Pay you for the torture.
Oh gosh, no, man. Brad's totally right, man. Yeah, like you said, dude, I love doing this stuff. But it is work, and this is my job. And so, we and you have a separate job. So we are setting aside a decent chunk of time every week to do this and plan for it and prep for it. And so it is nice to just see that people are appreciating it and sending some. So if you're interested in doing that, just head on over to wildlifephotochatvideo.com and you can support the show right there anytime you'd like. So thank you so much, everybody. And we'll continue to plug people as they continue to support the show. Yep. Dude, I don't even know where to start. I mean, it's just been so long. There's been so much, but there's been so much and not as well, right?
Yeah, well, it's that time of year. I mean, especially like even on my end of things, like just with family and family being in different areas. So you're traveling around, driving, and we've been dealing with storms. So
I was like, going to say shoveling snow.
Oh, and in Terranceville, we went out. I had plans to kind of do some photography because it's that time when I would typically go up for like rock term again and everything, but storms hit. We then had to come home early because another storm was hit. It was just been
it's
been chaotic and hectic, but that's it. That's that time of year. I mean, right? You're into winter, you don't know what to expect. So
I went to Costa Rica for 10 days in between all of this.
Right?
I did that.
Sitting on the beach.
And here's the photo I came back with. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you got pretty sick, right? Like
I did get sick for like 3 of the days there, but I was there for 10 days.
Okay.
It was just interesting, dude. Like I almost didn't even bring a camera in the first place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how I was feeling when I left, man. I almost didn't even bother bringing a camera. I was almost like, Emily's got a camera and stuff there, you know. I didn't really feel like shooting.
Yep.
Yeah. And even, you know, I was exploring a lot of areas around, I'm trying to think of where I was before I left there. It's like Moab and I think Arches and Bryce Canyon. And then by the time I left, I managed to get my way down to Phoenix. And so I was in all these areas and I just didn't have a photography desire, man. I really didn't. All I was kind of doing was just hiking, biking, you know, I was getting out in nature and just enjoying that. And so, yeah, the Costa Rica thing, it was just like Emily and I had kind of planned. It wasn't photo focused for her at all. And it wasn't in an area that was great or, you know, special for photography. And so when I went down, it was just kind of like whatever. And this sloth just ended up being, I mean, just right outside the room we were staying in. That's the reason I have this photograph, you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was just like right there, which they look like Muppets, man.
Looking.
They're so goofy looking, right?
Oh, yeah. It's wild.
They're so goofy looking.
Yeah, and that slow movement.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, man.
Adds to the weirdness.
I got a handful of photos of them. These were all just taken right outside the thing. I ended up, I think these were like at, 800 millimeter. I had the 400-4.5 with the 2X on for this because it was pretty far away and up pretty high. Yep. So I did that so I could get back and make it look like I wasn't shooting so up at him and to be able to get like these different backgrounds that I wanted, you know? And
I really like that one.
Not like it's fast moving. So I was able to just like use that 2X teleconvert, even though it was at F9, you know, and just go with super slow shutter speeds, keep the ISO manageable, and then get these shots, you know. So hands down, best sloth shots I've ever gotten from Costa Rica. So that was cool. That was neat. And then I think I photographed like 2 or 3 other species.
And they're in a cleanish area.
Yeah, exactly. The tree was really cool. Apparently they're really well known for feeding in these trees, which is kind of cool. So, so that was neat.
Cool.
And then I left there.
Real neat.
Flew to New Jersey, picked up my mom and drove her to Florida with all of her stuff because she spends the winter down there. And so while I was in Florida, I ended up doing one outing to good old Sebastian Inlet, right near where my sister lives, and a place that I just love all the time. You know, it's like, I feel like that place never fails, dude. I just always have an amazing time there, even when there's
so many opportunities.
Yeah, and even when there's barely any birds there, like sometimes you hit the tides and there's just not much around, but there's always something. There's always something to find. And I can't tell you how many times I've been there and seen skies like this, where it was just like this crazy, you know, light rays shooting. It happens a lot. It's just, I think the nature of Florida, there's always like storms offshore and like dramatic clouds.
Yeah.
And so I've seen it quite a few times in the mornings there, and there's almost always something flying around. These pelicans, there's osprey flying around, there's stuff like that. You know, just even gulls. And these pelicans, dude, were just cycling. Like it was on like a conveyor belt, just going around and around, diving one after the other. I got really great slow motion video of these things, like 3 or 4 of them all just gliding and then just like banking into the water, slow motion diving with this background.
Nice.
Yeah. It was really, really cool.
And they get such an interesting silhouette, too.
Don't they? Yeah. Yeah, they absolutely do.
It really stands out. Yeah.
So, yeah, I was able to just get like so much cool variety there and diversity, you know, just like even just these guys on this clean, sandy beach. And I know you said you were a fan of this one for a flock shot.
I'm a huge fan. Well, the thing is, like, we talk so often about like how difficult it is with a flock of birds. Like, it's just like, it's hard to make it interesting. There's a lot of, but there's something about this smaller, tight-knit group up on that little, you know, sandbank and then just all the beautiful scenery around it and stuff. And that leading foam, kind of like that line that kind of like loops you up to the group. And Yeah, and just I don't know, just the way they all kind of postured up and just stood like that. I think it worked so well for a group shot.
Yeah, I was really happy with it
really
too.
Nicely
yeah.
done.
And this was really cool. Just seeing like the sea mist coming in because the waves were crashing heavy there. I was hoping
Really
to get
stormy.
a little bit closer to him, but he just kind of kept bumping down, chasing whatever he was chasing, you know. So I was like, after like the second time of him moving, with me being nowhere near him, I was like, I'm done. I'm not chasing this thing down the entire beach.
Close.
You know? Yeah. I started out the morning pretty much in the dark. Here's a fifth of a second shot of this great blue with the pelicans landing in the background, and I tried to go as low as I could with the shutter speed. And just because I wanted to blur the flying birds as much as possible. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then just some close-up shots of the
I like the motion.
the turnstone. And
turns.
you know, it was funny, man. I only thought to go close-up on this because of that seaweed. And I just thought, like, if I can get some of this stuff in focus, it's got like such a cool texture and color to it that I think it'll look neat. And I have some other shots that show it off a little bit more, but this one was like really good of the bird. But yeah, it was just fun to get like up close and personal with them. And you know how good that 1:4 is with focusing close, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the complementing colors with the seaweed, like with the plumage of the turnstone, really works well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Brad.
Nice, man. Really good stuff.
I didn't do anything for a while after that, so got back to, you know, a couple days in Florida, flew back to Phoenix. Emily flew in the next day. We stayed in Sedona for a little bit in Arizona, did some amazing hikes there. I took the camera out once, but there wasn't a lot of birds around. That's been my experience every time I've been in Sedona, but it's always been in the winter, and I haven't been searching for birds really. Met up with a friend of hers in Phoenix the next day, then drove to Los Angeles, which is where I'm at right now, right in front of her sister's house, right back here, parked on the street in the city, dude. We're in LA, man. And you know how many times I've mentioned it to you, and I think I've even mentioned it on the show about wanting to get out and do some urban stuff. And I finally did it, man. I finally got my ass around to getting out there and doing this, which was really, really cool. And I got a lot, so, you know, I won't go through every photo, but I thought maybe I could just share it like this, and maybe you can pick out some that you want to see larger. Maybe I'll just sift through them really quick. But it was a blast, man. It was an absolute blast.
It was so great to hear, like when you posted in one of our group chats that you had gotten there and had gotten. It was exciting for me to listen to your excitement of it, because, like, you know, I know, like, sometimes you're someone who doesn't shoot a ton. You're very, you know, meticulous in what you're doing, and to hear you be like, oh, I shot, I don't know what it was, like 1K or something like that in 3 hours photos. And I'm like, oh, he had fun then. I'm like, absolutely. That means he was having fun. But for me, like those grid shots, like I really like the horizontal ones that you had shared, and there's something about like the placement, the fact that one line that was going down, like that shot there. Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. And then I did one where I centered him up.
I really like it.
So like we got even more symmetry going here. And then I also did a version cropped in really tight. So I wasn't sure, like, I didn't know. Let me see if I can bring up just these two.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
Well, I didn't share that. Yeah. So it's the same shot, just cropped differently. I didn't know if I liked the white edge border all the way around, or if I liked more space and more grid out of it. Like, I think there's something cool about both of them. You know what I mean?
That's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But like,
dude, so
I don't know.
I'll kind of skim through these while I tell kind of a little bit more of the story of them, and then we can maybe talk about some more of the photos. So yeah, like anybody in the comments, let me know if you have a preference.
Yeah, I would love to hear
on either one of these. But yeah, it was really cool. First off,
stuck my own self.
Yeah. First off, I got to take a Waymo, which is a driverless car, into the city. So it was like you could choose Uber, but they told me, they were like, do the Waymo thing. It's so fun. And I'm like, I love that kind of stuff, you know? And dude, it's really, really cool.
Really?
It was really, really cool, man. Yeah. You just like the thing, I hail it. 2 minutes later, it's like right in front of the van here. And you walk up to it, the door unlocks and opens. And then you just get in, and then it's like, all right, here we go. and off it took me to like a 20-minute drive into the city and dropped me off exactly where I had told it to, And so that was just like a neat experience, number one. And I knew this was the reason why I was like, this is the time for me to do it, because I have a place to park the van safely and leave it for a long period of time at her sister's house. And then I can just take another ride in, however I get there, right?
Yeah.
Because like driving into a city and parking this thing anywhere is just like, sounds like a nightmare. I don't want to do it ever, It's okay to drive through a city, but to find a place to park and leave it and stuff like that, I'm just like, no, thank you. So that's always been my thought of how I wanted to approach doing this, is just get a ride in, What were we going to ask?
So how did you go about deciding where you were going to get dropped off? Like, you just was like, center of the city, drop me off, I'm going there, kind of thing?
Yeah, so there's
was there any specifics? Because there's a park nearby that would have more birds, maybe adjacent.
That's a great point,
like,
man.
I'm just curious.
That's a really good point that you brought up. This was one of my favorite shots, by the way. Like I when I found
really
this
cool.
and like dialed this in, I was thrilled.
Yeah.
The day before was driving through, because me and Emily had visited a friend of hers, and was driving through, and I saw like, okay, this is the area with just tons of skyscrapers. And there's actually like two different kind of bigger parts of kind of like quote unquote downtown LA that have, there's like a Century City and then downtown LA. And they both have skyscrapers and stuff, but this seemed to be like the like more buildings, more buildings, more taller buildings. Everything was like huge there, which is exactly what I wanted. And then I didn't think of it, dude. I thought like, just get me in the city around the buildings and I'll find some birds. I'm thinking pigeons are going to be everywhere at a minimum, right? And so I didn't pick anywhere. I just ended up picking like I looked online, and like one building came up and it had really cool architecture in front of it. So I was like, that seems good.
Okay.
So drop me off there. So that's where I went. And I knew I was just going to wander all over the place. So I get dropped off there, and dude, I'm walking around for the first, I'm not exaggerating, 15, 20 minutes. I didn't see a single bird. I heard a handful of house finches or house sparrows, like in some bushes here and there, but barely saw them. And I'm like, I don't want them just like in a bush. Like, that's not what I'm here to do, And so
exactly,
I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like, where are all the birds? And then finally I got to exactly what you said, which was an area that was kind of like a little bit of greenery, like park area in the middle of the city. And then there we go. Boom, there are the birds. And then I started seeing stuff like this, like these Audubon yellow rumps were showing up, and I was like, that's awesome. And then I saw the first hawk, and that was like the red-tailed hawk was when I first really got to start dialing it in. And overall I ended up getting like, northern crow, the red-tailed hawk,
that's fun.
Mockingbird on this Christmas tree,
Christmas tree.
Multiple red-tailed hawks, which were cool to see.
Wow.
And so that was really fun. What else did I get?
That's cool.
A black phoebe I got there. Here he is. The black phoebe showed up, which was cool. And then the Allen's hummingbird, which was really, really neat as well. And there he is right there, this little tiny thing.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
So I had that, and I'm trying to think what else. I think those were like the main things, But like, to me in my head, like this is kind of right here, what we're seeing, and that first one of the hawk, that was always what was in my mind, right? Is like find really cool grids and patterns and reflections and stuff like that, and then incorporate the bird into that. And like, I'll go back to that first hawk one that you were talking about, that we're looking at, like this horizontal one. To me, this was like the coolest thing, right? Because you're looking at the whole scene, right? And so I see the hawk for the first time, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then it was like, dude, I had to walk like a block and a half to like line this up. You know what I mean? It's like, it wasn't at all where I want it to be. Wow. And thankfully it's like hilly here too. So you can actually like walk really far away and go up a hill and change your elevation, and get like a little bit, not actually eye level, but like better than like shooting straight up at the thing. You know what I mean? And then I'm like looking at the building. I'm like, oh, there's all these tan stripes and there's a white stripe. Like, and then more tan. So it's like that white stripe is going to make the bird stand out more. Plus it's like, it stands out. And so you just like walk around and line up. And sometimes you're like, oh, this is where I want to be. And it's like, oh, I need to be right in the middle of the street. Can't do that. Other times it's like, oh, where I need to be is where there's a building. So it's like, maybe if I go halfway up this block, and then around here I can line it, and then you just start like piecing together this puzzle. And then when you get to line it up like that, and the red-tailed hawk was about the best thing I could get because they just sit there hunting. They're just like watching, and this thing sat here for 20 minutes before it ever moved.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
It was just, it's just so much fun. And in the meantime, at the same time, this is happening in another spot, all from the same vantage point. Like I noticed these pigeons flying around, so I get them landing and go with like a really slow shutter speed.
Yeah.
I don't know what I went down to. Yeah, 1/10 of a second on that. And then while I'm standing in the spot shooting the hawk, I look over and here's this yellow rump just like bouncing around. So I'm like, that's cool. I'll shoot that. And then I start walking around. The hawk's still in the same spot. I'm just finding all this different stuff to put in front of it. And then the crows showed up, and then they were on this pole. So I got right underneath them and just seeing, like, you're just seeing all these shapes and geometry and lines.
I love so much that the crow's tail feathers in the back are crossed.
Isn't that cool?
And almost mimics like that
the beak
shape, right?
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yep. Absolutely. So, all right, here you go. So how about
really, really neat? Yeah.
How about on these? Which one?
I think I like the left one.
Yeah, me too. I do as well. Yeah, like this one's cool. I went black and white.
Actually, a little bit more about it. I don't know why.
I went black and white with a few photos, surprisingly, right? But yeah, I think the lines are bold in this one. But I feel like the completion of this and just like the angles just seem to work better with this one.
Yeah. I agree. Definitely.
And then like I ended up like finally I just like left that one hawk. I was just like, you know what? I kind of felt like I've run out of ideas. Like, let me just go see what else I can find. Then start hitting some more pigeons. And then it was so funny, dude. Like I'm shooting these pigeons here and having fun with this lineup. And then all of a sudden, like the whole flock just erupts and disappears. I'm like, what the hell happened? You know? And it was because this guy showed up and landed right in there where I was shooting. So I'm like, all right, well, here we go. We got another hawk, you know?
There we go.
Dude, he sat on that pole 45 minutes to an hour. Didn't move.
Wow.
I walked around. I gave up shooting, walked around looking for other stuff, ended up circling back on different blocks and then had him at a totally different perspective. I'm like, this is cool as well.
Yeah.
Like he just stayed there for at least an hour probably.
No way.
And there was all these rats on the ground. I saw running around. No, it's rats.
I would think.
Yeah. I saw them all running around right under him. I'm like, dude, you suck. They're right here. I see them. Come get them. But again, like just having fun with the signs, the depth, the layers, the architecture. It's just, it was such a blast. And then like, that's it, right? I'm shooting all this stuff. And I got like these, the ambulances coming by. Then I went slow shutter and started getting movement. Like this one I really like too. I know the hawk is really small, but I just love like seeing like it doesn't get any more urban than this.
Just all the I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just like
that movement.
Look where this thing is living and hunting right now. And then I love the juxtaposition of like palm trees in there as well. I think that's kind of like really fun for it. This is certainly a photo I could never share on Instagram because like you would never even see the bird, So that's kind of like a bummer. But it was fun. Somebody from overseas saw this and said, I don't even live where FedEx is. And I knew that was a FedEx truck. So like they recognized it as that. I was like, that's pretty cool, So it's got that like that recognition, And then
it does. Yeah.
It was really cool to find this. Then I saw these murals, and then again, it was another one of these, like it took me a while to walk around and find exactly how to line it up. And then I was curious on this one too. What do you think there? The tighter one or the further one? It's tough, huh?
Yeah, because I almost want to see the full face of the, you know what I mean, of the kid on the murals. And I kind of like, but then, it's hard, man.
But then the other one's just like the eyes staring right at.
I know, staring right at
hawk.
it. That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, I don't know. I have both versions,
Yeah, I don't know. Now that you're saying that, yeah, maybe the eye contact, it just draws everything in that much more.
It's kind of, yeah.
The hawk stands out more. Yeah.
I've been getting mixed
No,
feedback.
I think I do like that one. It feels a bit cleaner.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels a bit cleaner to me. Because now when I look at the other one, a bit more like I'm noticing the other pole that's kind of coming in, even though it's, like very discreet kind of thing. But
and these windows are like a little bit
distracting.
The hand, I don't know.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's something to both
I like
of
the
them,
other one.
you know?
Yep. Oh, definitely. Yeah. That's so cool, man.
And then like actually playing with vegetation, there was some stuff there was cool. Yeah, exactly. But like this kind of stuff to me is like where it was at. Like I just love the gridding of it all and like putting them in, like I want it in this square, and like lining it all up like that and hoping the bird's going to stay. Like it's just so fun. It's another extension of like just small and frame composition. And to me, it's like, it's so much more, I don't know, it's in a way, it's like so much more in your face and obvious in the moment. Like you see it and you're like, oh, it's got to go here. It's got to fit here. This is what makes sense. Or I want it here. Let me see if I can figure that kind of thing out, So anyway, it was a blast.
And, it's funny.
Go ahead.
It's funny you bring up like, because in nature, we're always looking for like beautiful leading lines, and it's a lot of times it's more like curvatures and just really pleasant shapes. And then it's like when you get into this urban stuff, it's more like jagged, very like that kind of. But you're still playing with and trying to figure out that puzzle of how to line those up with the subject and placement wise.
No,
so,
absolutely.
That's super cool.
No, you're right. It's so much more bold and in your face. You know what I mean? So the only downside I had was. I picked the day that was supposed to be sunny. Dude, it's been like the most rain and clouds they ever get here, ever. Like it's just been weird.
No way.
It's been today's day 2 now again of rain. It's supposed to rain for like the next 5 days straight here. It's just absurd. Like that's not normal at all here. Usually they get like a day or 2 of rain and it's like just always sunny here. So I really wanted sun because I was thinking like, take a shot like this, for example. The sun would be coming from who knows where. It doesn't matter. Even if it's strong, it's going to be casting hard shadows and making extra lines. And I could play with like exposing for bright areas and silhouettes and like just playing with light and shadow and maybe even light like bouncing off of one building, filling in light on another. You know what I mean? Like I thought that was going to be really fun. So to me, the only bummer with this whole outing was it was just such flat overcast light the whole time, which, it did allow me to shoot every direction easily, so that was nice. But I do definitely want to go back to somewhere like this again in the future and play with the sun in it as well. You know what I mean? So I think that'd be cool.
Definitely.
So there you go. There's my shoot.
For sure. And like I said, it's probably in hindsight.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in like hindsight, I think it was probably maybe good. Like sometimes we want that overcasty day to really kind of allow you to look in every direction and be not forced like in one kind of particular way. Like to, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like first time you go do songbirds, it's like, do you want like light to be very quick and then get harsh, or would you rather a full cloudy day so you could spend 3-4 hours and really like, hone in your compositions and stuff. So not that you wouldn't be able to do it, but I think, it gets you excited to go back too. So that's good.
Yeah, no, it definitely gives you more freedom for sure.
Awesome, man.
It definitely does. So, and it's funny, man. It's really cool. I got a few messages when I shared some of these on Instagram of people just saying, like, oh, I live near a city. I never thought of doing something like that. Like inspired me to go maybe give this a shot. And I'm like, yeah, man, like it's fun. It's flat out fun. It really is cool.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's nice to like fully lean in on it. Like that's the thing. Like if you're going to go do urban stuff, lean in on the urban, like include as much graphical shapes and designs and cool patterns. And like you said, in murals, if there's buildings with that on, just like go right in on it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I totally agree, man. Yeah. It was a great time though. So I'm leaving here tomorrow though, and it's just supposed to keep raining. So I don't know, but we will be back in the area in like a couple months. So before we do some other travel, so there might be another opportunity for me to get in this. And there are other cities, so I do know that. It's just a matter of having the convenience of being able to leave the van somewhere and then get a ride in and stuff like that. And it's always, I've talked to you about it, and it's always hard. We're always in these beautiful natural places, and it's like, it's real hard to make a decision to leave that and go into a city. Cause I got to say, it was also like a bit stressful at times. You know, the first place I walked into and it was outside. I was just up walking around what I thought was a public area. And then of course, within 15 minutes, somebody comes up, hey, you can't be up here with a camera like that. You know, I'm just photographing birds. And thankfully the dude was cool. He's like, oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. But I'm like, that whole thing is so stupid to me because like it's no problem if I'm here with a phone taking photos, which are actually the same resolution as the camera I'm using. Right. Like, but all of a sudden, because I have a physically bigger camera, it's like, nope, can't do any of that here. You know,
looks more. Wow.
It's so dumb. Yeah. So get kicked out of there, then got yelled at by a few homeless people, you know, and it was just like, just because I had a camera, you know, and like
it's always an adventure.
I mean, full on, you know, full on. Yeah. It was just like, you know, a couple times I'm like looking through the viewfinder and then like a bus like whooshes right by in your face. You're like, really got to pay attention, you know, it's just like, So it's like, and then also, I wasn't taking photos of people, and I know it's legal to go and just like be out on a public street and take photos of people. It's a genre of photography, street photography that people do all the time. But to me, it like felt weird. Like there was one time where I just happened to notice like this woman is just like walking down the street, and I'm like, I was already kind of shooting that way towards the birds, but I'm like, I just don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, you know? And so I would like stop shooting and just kind of be like, oh yeah, whatever, you know, and then just like wait for people to pass and then like go back to what I was doing. And then like sometimes you had to get over sort of being attention. Like when I was shooting those crows straight up at that light pole with those interesting angles, I'm right on the corner of a busy street. There's pedestrians walking by and I'm just standing here like mashing my camera up, pointing straight up. Like I'm looking like a wacko, you know what I mean? So you got to just kind of be able to like let that go as well. So it's like a little bit of there's like a kind of a different feeling that comes with shooting in such a busy place like that.
Definitely.
And some of it you got to let go, and some of it you got to just understand like, maybe I can't do every shot I want to get. And so that was kind of interesting to work through as well, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But overall, I would do it.
It's a different style of shooting for sure.
Yeah. So shall we segue into our topics?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's do it. So we'll kick it off with this amazing
the only thing
stuff.
is, wait a second.
All right.
Yeah. So actually, no, we won't say wait topic because that's just a recent stuff that I shot.
Oh, okay.
I'll just go
nice.
That
Let's
quickly.
hear it then.
Yeah. So, you know, anyone that's kind of following me closely, like been a few years now, I just kind of, you know, came up with this whole psychedelic waterfowl project that I call it. So anyways, there's a short window. It's usually about the middle part, I think, of December that they open it up, and until the end, the first week, it's usually around January the 6th. There's this one particular, it's a decent sized park. It's got two ponds within the park. One's a little smaller. I've never really shot there. But this particular one, every year they just set up tons of Christmas lights. Like it's got big, huge trees all wrapping around this particular pond. And it's not a huge pond. Like I could probably throw a rock from one side to the other. But it's just full of Christmas lights. So funny enough, when I used to go, like talking about embracing the urban stuff, like when I used to go, I used to look for all the Christmas lights that were more warm tone and try to make it look sunrisey, or I don't know what I was trying to do. But anyways, it was just stupid when I look back on it. Still love the shots. So I'd say over the past 2 years or so, I've just leaned into wacky, weird colors, whatever ones I can find that are kind of more trippy looking and different. I've just been aiming at. So most of the outings that I've been able to get out, you know, throughout this kind of holiday season, I've been heading there and just trying to capitalize on some of that. And it's, you know, like I spoke to you, it's like such a short window because I'm trying to balance this very, very short window where you're still getting the vibrancy and the colors from the lights being reflected on the water, but then getting enough light on your subject that you're not just getting a silhouette, or you're just having to raise the values of the shadows just ever so much. And the other great thing I've realized about this location too, because there's so many lights around, and then there's just like the regular like huge street lamp lights too, or ones that are around that kind of like not a boardwalk, but like a paving walk path that goes around it. They add some like fill light to the ducks too in certain spots. So that's why sometimes I'm able to kind of get this little bit more of a balance between. So yeah, dude, it's been fun. It's been an adventure. Like that, the goose, actually didn't even expect that there. We don't like Canada, so that's a lesser, which I didn't even know that either. Didn't even know they existed. A lesser Canada goose. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, this little thing was there. We don't get to see geese much. I remember when I lived in Ontario, you were like stepping over them, but in Newfoundland, like they breed here on the tundras and stuff, but in around the city here, we rarely get them. So to see this little guy was super cool. It was fun to play with.
And this is one that has more of that natural light background,
pretty chill,
right? Like you could misinterpret this
got that
to being like, oh, there's some
to it,
interesting sun back there or something like that, even though it's more street lights. So you,
yeah, definitely. He was in this little small pocket, and it was just this one warmer tone. I think it was actually like a big tree wrapped in like this warm colored Christmas lights going all the way up the trunk of it, and that's what was reflecting into the water. So played around with that. Yeah, it's just been, and I'm just trying different stuff where I'm either sat down, lying down, shooting down. Like the one there, I call it like candy cane water.
That's my favorite, dude.
The silhouetted one. Yeah, I really do like that one. It was just wild how the water was just that perfect. It was just enough wind to give that little bit of a ripple going over the whole thing.
It's crazy looking.
And I think that's, I think that, so there's a bridge going across one part to the other. The water's running out into the stream, and they have like these kind of like things put, like arches put over the top of the bridge. And each one, and one's red, one's white, one's white. So that's why you're getting that kind of like candy cane reflection in it.
It's so cool, man. And I know it's like arguably distracting to the bird, but I think that's the point, And to me, it's just like, this one is so eye-catching, especially when you view it this size. It's just like, wow, this is incredible. Have you thought about, with this kind of stuff, getting like, once you get a shot like this, like I see your settings right now, and I know you're comfortable pushing, because like you had one here earlier, you had this one, right? 25th of a second at 6400 ISO. So with something like this, because I do think, and I don't know if you think this, I think the water in here where it's in focus is just like, it looks so freaking cool, like metallic and everything. Have you thought about playing with a little bit of a higher aperture and just going with the slower shutter speed to try and get more of that in focus? Just to get more of that like crazy metal look, And it might be something where you try like the other lens, right? Like the 100, 400, because it's lighter and you can hold it even slower kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder too, right? Like the height of my positioning, like where I was a little bit lower, I even wonder if I was up.
That's true.
Even a foot more. Yeah. So I feel like I'm looking down. It'll minimize that depth of field look and then maybe add more. Because I've had shots in the past, and that's what I'm trying to replicate. Like, it's wild how like just that little subtle difference up and down can change. Like, like you said, how much sharpness you're getting and the texture that you're pulling out of the water and stuff. But I've never tried putting the aperture up more, so that'll be or lowering it, so that's something I could play around with a little bit more for sure.
Yeah,
because I love it. Like I said to you, it's the same thing as like your urban stuff. It's like just leaning into the crazy funky now,
absolutely
as crazy colors as I can get in patterns. It's like, and again, this isn't about necessarily the subject, but for me, it's about taking a subject I've shot many times, a very beautiful light and very natural looking surroundings, but now just going crazy funky and just having fun, kind of in a down time. You know what I mean? Like winter can be a bit of a downtime. So this just kind of makes it a little bit more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, and I think it's also just, it's so different. It's just fun and exciting shooting something so different. Even if you're going to the same place, you know, both of us just have had this. It's like reinvigorating to go into an environment that either A, you've been in, or B, you've never been in, and work with the same subjects that we're used to working with, and showing them in a, you know, pardon the pun, right? But showing them in a different light. And I think it's just such a fun thing. And I every single year when you do it, I love what you do with it. And I love what we talked about doing. I don't know if you want to talk about that and share. Maybe that's a segue into like our topic here. But I love the potential for what you might be doing with it going forward.
Definitely. And just to even add to this too, like what I find so rewarding, and it doesn't necessarily get boring yet for me, is that the window of opportunity for this and the amount of shooting you do in this is so short. That is like you see glimpses of potential and light and whatever, and like the wind can make a big difference on how those ripples and everything kind of change, that you're like, okay, cool, that was fun for 10 minutes or whatever. Okay, let's do it again, because it was such a short window, and it's repeatable in a sense. And every little angle makes such a difference with all the different texture and the light, and so there's just so many opportunities. So yeah, it's such a blast.
Yeah, totally, man.
So anyways, so Ray and I, because we've talked about this and we're sharing things, and you know, I brought up a bunch of times about, you know, that shorter window and extending, and it's been in the back of my mind a few times to, you know, to maybe incorporate flash. And I'm just not like a flash person. Like I try to keep things, and I'll say natural, but like, you know, I'm using urban lights and stuff here, but just, I don't know, I've just never had that like desire to want to incorporate a flash in it, but I do know that there's advantages for it, for freezing the subject a bit more, or, you know, using better settings or whatnot, and then shooting, extending, meaning, you know, shoot even more into the dark. And then go transitioning more into that, like I'll say, ideal time, that 5 minutes where it's the perfect transition. So anyways, in discussing that, Ray brought up like an excellent point. He's like, what about like a LED light? Like, why don't you use like a constant light instead of using a flash? So I was like, oh yeah, okay, never thought about that. So I was looking into it, and I'm like, hey, you can get them for the hot shoe. And it's really cool. Like you can change the temperatures, and you've got all the, you know, how much brightness you want and how. So we're looking into it, and I said, well, yeah, you know, it sounds like awesome, but I know they're going to shut the lights off soon. So, you know, I'll definitely add it to going forward, and probably set it up for next year or whatever. And then it dawned on me, like, I think it was like a day after I wrote you, I'm like, oh, dude, I MacGyvered something. I figured something out. So anyway,
so good.
The light that I'm using for this, which is just like a LED light that you just mount on your monitor, and it hooks up USB. You can change the temperature and all the controls. It hit me, I'm like, so I have that light, and I'm like, I bought a couple of power banks for like when power goes out, we can charge our cell phones, those little, you know, you charge it up for a while. Sure. I'm like, I have a little one I can slide in my pocket. So I went and grabbed this camera or this light, took it off, plugged it in that, turned on. I'm like, oh, it works.
Nice.
I'm like, perfect.
Nice.
So I'm gonna rig it up basically. I think the first outing, which I'm hoping to do, I was hoping to do before this, I never got a chance, maybe tomorrow. I'm just gonna mount it. I already tried it. It'll sit perfect on the hood of my 500. I'm just gonna put duct tape or something just to hold it down.
Totally.
Put the charger into my pocket, and then I've got the little, like, there's a little remote attached to the cable. I can play around with it. So for me, again, still want to keep it as natural as possible for me. It's just use it a bit of a fill light. You know, help the camera, should help the camera grab focus better, because it's a nightmare if anyone's done like these super early morning stuff. Like the camera struggles so much to get to grab focus, but I think it'll help. And I think, you know, because there's so many times I park in this area, or I get out and I'm scouting, I'm looking around, and the colors are just so vibrant. Like it looks so good. But it's so dark. I'm like, I'm just getting silhouettes, if anything.
Yep.
or your settings are just crazy maxed out, that I think this will just, like you said, extend or open up the possibilities a bit more. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, going to try off camera flash, maybe play around with some different lighting angles, which could be fun. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, and then
I look forward to trying that through the new year.
That I used to do with I used to do flash photography all the time with my weddings and portraits, and I would also use an LED light as well for when it got into dusk times, because the flash is just sometimes like a little too much, too overkill. And even when you're skilled with flash, to me, it's just like, it's easier when you can see what the light is doing yourself. You just turn it on and you move it, and like, oh, there's the angle I want, and boom, like you shoot. So the cool thing I used to do is, even when you get like that dusky blue sky, if I would throw a warm colored light in on it, on my subject, and then when I white balance properly for them, because they would show all orangey yellow, but when I properly white balance, it makes the background go even more blue, like to this like electric neon blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could do it even with like a gray day, like if there's just like gray light and you put orange light on something, properly white balance, which makes you cool the white balance off for your subject, the surrounding stuff that's not getting hit by the light gets shifted in that same direction, so you can kind of shift it blue, or vice versa, right? You could throw a really cool light source on these things, and then white balance for them, make your background go yellowy orange, right? So you can play with not only the color of your subject, but you can, in essence, change the color of your background by throwing a different colored light on your subject and properly white balancing it based on that. So it's just, it's really cool, the creative opportunities that it allows you to do,
Yeah, that's cool. I never thought about that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of effects I'll get moving forward. But yeah, I love it. Like I said, it's a short window. It's a couple weeks.
Man.
And like I said, I don't know I'll ever get sick of it. Like there's always other, ducks showing up there.
Sure.
Cormorants are around too. Like they usually don't come to like a few minutes. Like they almost come too late sometimes. Unless things really freeze up, they sometimes then will roost overnight in that area, and then I can play with them. But yeah, there's so much. I look forward to getting even more crazy with it if
awesome,
I can.
Man.
So yeah, definitely.
So in classic form, 45 minutes into the episode, and it's ready to get to the topic.
Exactly.
So I'm going to guess this is your first topic here, talking about what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so I'll call myself out on this first. The ptarmigan picture was a 2024 picture, but it was like the last 2 days before we went into 2025.
It counts.
So for me, one of the big things heading into this year's when I got the 100-400, and it was like, I want to show more environment. I really want to, kind of focus in on that smaller in frame kind of stuff, like the Ray Hennessy style thing. But, I think for me too, is like, not go too crazy small, still kind of in that portrait kind of feel, but really just trying to hone in on showing off some of the environment here. I played around with it, I think, as much as the opportunities allowed me to do it, but I think I want, going into this year, I want to be more conscious, get myself into more environments that would be more pleasing to the eye, that'll allow me to have more of these opportunities to do so, and to really kind of like hone that craft, because there's a lot of elements to think about, and a lot of things you need to focus on, be aware of when you're shooting this style of photography. Is not, you know what I mean, like not just a clean background with a tight bird that you don't have to move and change too much. Now there's a ton of things to go into play. So, I think that's definitely on my high priority for this year.
So, Brad, what do you think, looking back? And this was kind of your first year, really diving into it. You got that lens, the 100-400. It gave you a lot more flexibility, because prior to that, you were usually kind of stuck on the 500 millimeter, or you had a 70-200, but that's a huge gap. So
yeah, I didn't take it much.
Yeah, exactly. And so now that you've had kind of a year under your belt of doing some of this stuff, like what are some of the things you feel like you learned and want to sort of either apply to the coming year, or like want to kind of, pay more attention to, like you just mentioned? Like, so are there things that you kind of realized after doing this for a year of like, oh, this is what I kind of need to do more of?
Is not as easy as you think.
Yeah.
For one.
Yeah.
Because you automatically dude, when I first got it, I was like, oh, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do songbirds. And like, I know white-throated sparrows so well. Like, it's just going to be so easy. I'm just going to shoot them at 100 and it's going to all look fantastic and great. And it's like, no, does not work that way. Because the thing is, there's so many areas that I go into, and I think when I see them with my eye, I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. Yeah. This is beautiful habitat. But then when you shoot it at a wider, there's so many other distracting elements that a 500 quickly eliminates. Yeah. And you can find that little pocket so easily, or at least, from our experience in our field craft, like we can point these out really easy. As you start getting wider, now I quickly realize, I'm like, I need to scout more and find, not that I'm not in beautiful locations, they're beautiful, but they're not subject to like one of the things. Like, there's other ponds or lakes that I know I've seen loons at, let's say, but they have no little islands in there. Yeah. They don't have other little pieces that would
layers.
That would add to that scene to really, elevate that. So I think for me, it's like being a lot more conscious of the location itself and how many more elements I can pull into things to create. Like you said, we've talked about this. We just did an episode not long ago talking about like the ideal, the optimal wide angle shot, like all those different, like you said, there are foregrounds, our midground, our the distant background, like tying all those elements in. So to find locations like that is not always easy. Sure. You think it is, but it's not always easy. So I think for me, it's definitely that. And then, like finding, not only you got to find that area, now you got to find the subjects that are going to be cooperative, like that you can get an approach a little bit easier. And even weather patterns. So like even with the two at the bottom, like, realizing that the fog helps greatly with a wider scene, with eliminating, cleaning things up. So like I said, I think it's just to slow yourself down. It's a totally different process than, like when I go shoot songbirds and stuff, it's like you're just booking it through the woods, like, oh, hear this sound, hear this one, go do this, do this. But with a wide, like, when I'm doing, like when I did the spotted sandpiper, that was like slow. I was sitting there on the shoreline, like, where's he hitting? What can I do? Like, I want to put this rock in. I want to put this, like, lead this out into here. I want to include that island in the background. Okay, perfect. Now, like, let's wait till he's coming along the shoreline and hopefully hops up in these areas. Or, it's almost like piecing together a landscape shot, hoping that the bird's going to come in that area or finding some way, So it's a different process for sure.
And what a difference with a shot like this. Like, think about this at 500 millimeter. It doesn't matter what you put back there. It's all going to be blurred. So it doesn't matter whether it's on this or on this or on this or over here. All's going to look basically the same, right? But with this at 155, you're seeing back there, and you did it so wonderfully, right? It's like, well, I don't want, like this chunk of the island being like intersecting coming in here, right? You have like, it comes down to the last little bit of rock right there, and then it slopes up, and then that island has its own space to sit back there, nestled into the next set of trees behind it, and then the rocks are kind of, coming in underneath of it there. Like all of that, like you moved left, right, up, down, forward, backward to put this all in the right place there. And it matters weirdly so much more. I mean, not weirdly, but I think for anybody that hasn't done this much, it's so easy to miss all of that, because it's just like, if you're trained on a telephoto lens, it's just like, my background's far away. It's going to be out of focus back there. Who cares, right? But then you're you're paying attention to all that. And just like you said, it's the puzzle. And that's so much what I love about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right. I think the biggest takeaway, and you've mentioned this on previous shows as well, which is not every location works. It's so location dependent. And you've said it time and time again. You're like, there's locations where I'm just like, this is where I know I want to bring the lens that gives me that option. Because other spots, I don't even bother because I don't want to show it off. It's going to be a mess, so that's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And like to go back to what you were saying about like the, little distracting elements in it. I mean, with a larger prime, generally elements seem to stand out more, and you know what I mean? It's more prominent, and we can kind of like, it's almost like you see them in the camera, like, okay, I got to move. This is distract. When you're looking at this and everything's so small, you're like, oh, this looks amazing.
You're right.
And then like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like you just said, like I do have shots where his head was just a little bit more touching that island.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Like get the excitement out of the way. I got to move just ever so much. And it's like, okay, there it is. Perfect. Right. Like, there's little small elements within now that you've got to like really look into your scene to make sure it all fits just right.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, dude. I can't wait to see. I mean, you're already, obviously capturing amazing stuff with it, and I know it's only going to get better, and you'll keep dialing it in. So that's going to be exciting.
Forward to it
for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
Maybe we'll jump around. So I'll show some of mine, and then we'll come back to your next set.
Definitely.
So for me, it was definitely one of the things I leaned into in 2025 was shooting at 10 millimeter, that Laowa 10 millimeter, and just leaning into that lens. I don't know if I even had it the year prior. I think maybe I did, but I'd barely shot it. But in any case, 2025 was like, it was the year of 10 millimeter for me, for sure. That was one of my big things. And for me, it was like, just kind of like putting that lens on when I was in an area where I thought it had the potential and sticking with it. And, you've experienced this, I'm sure. I'm sure everybody listening has experienced it. If they ever tried to do anything, even remotely shorter focal length, you just see nonstop opportunities of telephoto shots that you're missing. And it's really hard sometimes to just see like what would be a beautiful long lens telephoto portrait and not shoot it, or just understand that you can't shoot it because you have this lens on. And I'm telling you, for years, Brad, that was like the toughest thing for me to really lean into full on wide angle bird photography, was seeing all that and noticing it and missing it, and then always sort of going back to the telephoto lens. I just wouldn't stick with the wide thing long enough. Right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I'm still like at that stage where I'm like, it's so hard to like fully commit. Like I said, you just got to remind yourself, it's like, I have another Gannett type portrait of it flying. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have those shots.
Absolutely.
Like, if a 10 millimeter shot works out right, it's special. There's nobody out there that's going to have it, or, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, look at this, you know what I mean? Like what a unique look. And I think you're going to be so much prouder with that than if you had a tight portrait of that on a 500. You'd be like, okay, cool, I got it. Nice. But like I said, we visit these locations so many times now each year that it's like, why not do this? So yeah, I'm super stoked that you did, that you worked with that this year. I have to say, right out of the gate, I was a little bit like, I don't know, like 10 mil. I mean, you and I know how close you need to get to a subject. I'm like, is he going to stick with this? Like, is this actually going to work out? Like, I had my doubts. I know your skill level and your determination and your want to push the limitations and push the boundaries and be super creative. So to see you actually pull it off and get some just like some of the best stuff that I've seen like you produce, like it's so cool.
Oh, thanks, man.
And so many species do.
Yeah.
Like you must like be able to look back at this year and be like, holy shit, how many
I mean, yeah.
Like, I'm sure going into it, you were probably like, nah, maybe a puffin.
If you get one or two,
like,
right? Yeah.
You're lucky, but look at this.
I know.
You have so much more too. I mean, I've
For
seen
sure.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just picked out a few.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. just stunning stuff.
And
man.
also, this, like, showing these right now as a set, to me is the confirmation that when you stick with something and really work it and hone it,
Yep.
it doesn't
Yep.
it gets out of gimmick stage, you know? Because like in the beginning, it definitely every new lens I get always has that gimmick factor, which is sort of like, I'll just describe it as it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting, maybe it makes things look different, and this 10 millimeter certainly makes things look different. That's part of the appeal of that lens to me. Is it just like, you know, you and I talked about it, right? It makes everything into a leading line. It just stretches everything around the edges so much that it just like turns it like, this is just like this is just vegetation like sitting there. It's nothing special, but yet it's all like pointing towards the puffin, and the clouds are all pointing towards the puffin, and the waves are all pointing everything, right? So that lens just does that. And you know, it's like figuring out how to make that work and everything. And you know, for all of the images I've shown so far full screen, it was all about just really incorporating that environment, right? Like finding really cool environment, and then, you know, and also to be able to get birds in flight at 10 millimeter, decent size on the frame, is like, I wasn't thinking that was going to happen originally.
No.
But then I also leaned into, like, I started realizing like this lens has a lot of distortion. It can be fun. And then, so these last two photos I'll show, were really leaning into that, like sort of the comical aspect of having something, you know, in your face, distorted, stretched out. And of course it requires very, very tolerant subjects, you know, and these fox kits were just acclimated to humans and curious and would walk right up to you. And then of course seabirds, which are, you know, notoriously not afraid of humans. But still, this one I got this towards the end of all my time with these puffins, when we were there working, Brad, because it was like, you know, I knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to get that comical distortion with this bird, but I knew I had to be really close. And I've described it before, but I was probably 6 inches or less away from this bird when I took this shot. The lens was. And so it's insanely close, and these birds are tolerant, but they aren't always that tolerant. Like I had to find the right bird to do that. And I finally did, and it's funny looking. They're silly already, but just exaggerating those, you know, proportions and distortions in this, like making the fox's legs look like the tiniest things just sticking out of this big head, you know? Like it's just so cool to be able to also do like these funny things, but then, you know, also just some standard, just like incredible scenery, just like show off the subject. So that was a big thing for me. And I do want to keep leaning in with the 10. I want to try, you know, just to continue the evolution of this, but also maybe incorporate more of auto capture and learn and understand that a little bit more in the coming year, and just keep having fun with this. But then also recognizing I now have a 14 to 30 to mix in, so I don't always have to go to the extreme 10 millimeter. I have somewhere to kind of fit in the middle with some still really wide, but not quite as absurd, you know?
Yeah.
So that's for me.
Yeah, I love it. And I think you made such a great point at the beginning that, you know, we often pick up a new lens, something we're super excited about, and we just like, you know, okay, I'll point it at it just like we do with our long telephoto lens. It's like, we just think, oh, we've got the skill or whatever. But I think you're right. There's something about each lens. You almost got to find its sweet spot, its thing that it can do. And like, I love that not only did you incorporate stunning environment with these birds and just killer compositions, you then realize this comical feature that you can now, like, you know what I mean, like add into the photo as well. Like that's super cool to, you know, just shows the time and effort you put in with that lens that it does take to then kind of almost be a specialist with that lens, to really know its limits, its limitations, and then showcase it off.
The strengths.
It's fantastic, man. Yeah. It's such a, oh yeah, I love it.
No, and then
really killer stuff, man.
Perfect segue into your next set. Speaking of, you know, finding a lens's uniqueness and strengths and everything. And like, I love the fact that you got this just a little bit ago, and I feel like I've already taken better shots with it than I've had with having it for like 2 years now.
Oh God.
Like just so damn cool, dude. So damn cool.
Yeah, you really like sparked this, you and Emily, with when you picked up this lens, and I was very, very curious, and I knew it was probably something I would eventually pick up. And then when you let me borrow it, and that was at the colonies when we were doing our workshop, right away I was hooked because I quickly realized, and this is one thing, like we just talked about, like finding a lens's strength and weaknesses, and how does it, like in this case, because it's an effect, how does the effect work? Like what's triggering this effect in this lens, and what different elements in a scene, in an environment, will give you different looks with that effect. So like if you like, so the one in the back to the colony one, that is actually just Gannett sitting on the distant sea stack.
That's crazy.
And I was like, oh, and it was like overcasty kind of light, very flat. Because in my head, I was like, it's got to be, nice, bokeh, nice highlights within an image. Like I'm thinking like glittering off the water, anything like that, shooting into the sun. Like, and when I framed the shot up, I'm like, oh, so I'm like, this will actually work in like an overcast to kind of give you like, it does stuff with the textures. You've talked about it. Like you loved shooting like warblers and songbirds, and like you were like, man, like more texture the better, and them actually almost like pressed up against it a bit more, whereas we often look for like this huge separation. Separation doesn't always work. Like the real strength with this lens is just does this painterly strange effect with like foliage when it's like close, right? Like
Absolutely.
This image doesn't show it properly, but so I was super glad to have picked it up. Took me, dude, I mean, the lens sat in my bag for like a couple months. Actually, not my bag, sorry, in a box. And I just didn't even like take it out of the box. And then finally I did. So,
And
so
then you're like, why'd I wait so long?
Right? Exactly. But I'm still like this, I'm still stuck in my own stupid ways of like, it's in my bag all the time, but I'm like, I won't take it out. Like, anyways,
I'm throwing down the gauntlet, dude.
To it.
I need to see some warblers from you with it this year.
Oh, it's on I'm definitely. Yeah, I've committed my own self. Like, I'm not even going to bring, like,
you almost have to not bring something else up for an outing. Yeah.
So how about this? A compromise. White-throated sparrow, 100%. But I'll try maybe warblers, but I don't know. I might give up pretty quick.
But once you get some of the warbler species, if you get a second outing with them, maybe then, right? Maybe then you get the opportunity with it.
Yeah. Yellow warblers. I think I can do some stuff with yellow warblers and stuff. But dude, what was interesting, so with this lens, and the reason I just include this image, like, so this is just a pigeon, but it was sitting on the edge of a lake, and so the sun was kind of coming in really nice. It was like glistening off the water or whatever. I tried shooting it off the water. It was too harsh, and then I was like, well, the rocks in the like just behind it, the shoreline, all the small little pebbles were still kind of like wet or whatever, and they were kind of getting kind of like glistening from the sun. So I just angled right. I mean, this is like directly, like, dude, I was like, this is like right behind this bird.
Wow.
But it was just giving me all these trippy, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Like, I didn't think it would come out that way. But this is just literally the shoreline of the lake.
I love the size gradient too. Like how tiny it is below to there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like,
that's
okay,
so cool.
I gotta play with this more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like point it at almost anything.
I know.
Because, dude, I took it out, I don't know what day. It was like a few days back, just in my backyard, and it had rained or it was snowing or something like that, but it was wet anyway. So our plum tree had all the water droplets all on or whatever. The light was like, had been up for like 3 hours after sunrise. But anyways, I just went out in the backyard. Sometimes we get like chickadees and stuff that'll land in it. And I was just like playing around with seeing, and dude, just the textures and then all the droplets, how they all went.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, this thing is wild. I'm like, I'm definitely in on playing around with it a bit more.
And foreground gets trippy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So like I said, there's so many different fun things to do with this thing. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a big thing on my list for this coming year. Because I'm stoked with what I got. Like that
oh my God, I love this
is
thing.
Like one of my favorite shots from this year. So
it's so good.
once you see the potential, I think, it's a challenge. Manual focus,
250.
It's a pain.
250 millimeter.
250. You got to get a little bit closer. But I love the portrait. I love what the portraits do.
Yeah.
I've done shots with some of the ducks. We had shown those in previous episodes.
Correct.
Where, smaller, showing more of the vegetation. But there is something with a little bit of a portrait too for me.
Absolutely.
That I really love. So,
well, and then
fun.
This is about the definition of a gimmick lens. Like it's in your face, the effect, right? And so it can be so easy when you first get something like this to go like, oh, just everything looks different, so therefore it's cool and great, right? But no, again, you still have to figure out how this lens works, like where it's really going to shine to make photos like this. You can't just go, oh, I got this funky new donut bokeh lens, and then go out and just shoot whatever without any care in the world and get great images. It's like it doesn't work that way. And so, it's just like, that's such a lens that really calls for, giving it time, figuring it out, and not getting caught up in the background's so different, therefore it's good. Right? Because just because it's got the donut bokeh pattern doesn't always mean it's good. And my first few images I shared when I got it fell into that category, where it was just like, I'm sharing it because it's so new and exciting and blah, blah. And I look back on them like, no, they weren't good yet. I had to work with it more before I really recognized, hey, this is how this lens shines, Yeah.
And dude, I'm planning on bringing that one to Florida.
Oh, yeah. Nice, dude. Most definitely.
Because it's so compact, I can definitely bring it, and I think I'll have some fun there with that.
Yeah. Oh, of course, man.
It's coming with me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing for me was the split level. And so this kind of combined with the 10 millimeter a lot, because I kind of learned that 10 millimeter gives me the look that I want in this, but it was, this is my second underwater housing. I had one years ago, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that, for the Z6 II. And I kept using it less and less because the Z6 II didn't have the subject tracking in it. And it was it's already harder shooting in an underwater housing. And it was just even more cumbersome to do anything interesting with it. And I only at the time had a long lens port. So I was shooting 300 or 420 millimeter in the underwater housing on my first iteration of using one. And I got some cool images with it. I was happy with it. And it was still really fun to be able to just go into the water and be around the water and waves and not have to worry about it. But Emily had expressed some interest in it, and I knew I kind of wanted to get a newer version. So when we got the Z6 III, I was like, you know what? It's time. Get rid of the old housing. Let's update it to the newer one that fits that camera. And this time we also added the dome port, because I was like, well, I'm getting better at shooting wide stuff. I have some ideas. And so this was my literally the first outing with it. This was like one of the first photos I took with that dome port with the 10 millimeter in it. And when I like saw this stuff happening through it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. Like, this is going to be fun. But all the same rules still applied as everything we just talked about, right? It was new. Like, I had to get over the gimmick factor of it. I had to really figure it out, find, locations. And of course, I share the first round of these and everybody's like, oh, where are the fish in the bottom? I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I could barely even just get this shot. These are at 10 millimeter. I had to get so close to these birds. Showing anything underwater was hard enough. And so putting fish down there seemed like absolutely absurd to me. I'm like, you guys have no idea,
No. Yeah.
But I think the translation of that in hindsight is the message is your underwater half needs to be interesting as well, and it can't just be like anything underwater for the sake of underwater, because that can just be kind of boring, right? So I need some interesting color or textures or lines or fish, or whatever it may be, right? And so I started realizing that and playing with that and finding interesting, like, light shapes and lines and sand textures and, all that kind of stuff underwater. And, the water's got to be clear enough. That's challenging, and then I also, initially my thought was, well, if the sun's higher, it's going to shine into the water and illuminate underwater much better, and that'll be good. So I started out that way, and it's just like, but now your top half is in garbage light and it looks it. so like that quickly got squashed. And I realized like,
you can't hide it.
Yeah, it's just I realized like I still got to shoot good light above, which means it's dark underwater, which means I need to keep my ISO down and got to really edit these things. And it's just like, like what a learning process. And then I, did a whole bunch of that stuff and then realized like, man, it'd be fun to get in the crashing waves and do something with that. And so that was kind of like, an upcoming iteration of it was get in the surf, have waves crash over me on purpose, and then get that look with it, and this was a little bit longer focal length because the birds weren't close enough for where the crashing waves were at 10 millimeters. So I had to go with a longer focal length and, but all in what I learned is this talk about location specific. This is about as location specific as it gets. Like I've found, I think I've shot this underwater housing in 2 locations now, both of them being in Florida. But that's about all I've figured out that can really make it work so far, and I hope to find more and I plan to try and find more. But, just getting a housing is like, that's not just going to solve like, I can shoot it in any body of water and get great photos, So,
it just doesn't make,
it just doesn't work that way. So all of these first ones were like a saltwater location, clearish water, but not the most clear. And then it finally dawned on me after a while, like, let's go to some of the clearest water I've ever seen in my life. And that's the springs in Florida. And so Emily and I did a separate trip there. And that's when I really feel like I got to put this thing, like, put it to good use, really let this underwater housing shine. And I started to see fish. And so all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay, now I can actually incorporate some of this like really amazing underwater grasses with
like,
a
you want
really
fish,
nice thing.
You're getting them.
Yeah, right. And just like this, like underwater, like the habitat underwater, and tying it into that, and then here we go. And I haven't shown my best. I've held some of them back before contests, but this was it. This was like the culmination to me of the birds above, their prey below. I got the split level. The lighting is working everywhere. And like, I mean, when I was taking this, dude, I was so over the moon, man. I was just so like, I can't believe this is happening right now, Yeah. And
it's such a rush, hey, when that all comes together like that.
It is, especially when you didn't really fully plan. Like I didn't plan seeing these fish here. I just saw the cormorants.
Oh no.
Went over there. And then as soon as I put the lens in, I'm like, oh my God, look at all these fish. And they're not swimming away from me. They're just staying here. Like it was incredible stuff, man. And then just shooting actually like full underwater in these places, and just having an absolute blast with all this stuff. So my hope is, the unfortunate part is I'm not really going to be getting to Florida this year in 2026 coming up. Not with any like a lot of extended time, it's going to be like a shorter visit. It's just the way our schedule's working out this year. So I don't know that I'm going to get to play in these locations again, but hopefully I can find something else along the way to be able to use this housing. We have it with us all the time, which is nice, but it's an amazing tool, but boy, is it specific, it's really, really specific.
Yeah, it is. Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's I was going to ask you, is there any tips or any things that stood out to you you never thought about would be like an issue that you had to overcome with it? Like little, like, I guess I have one in mind, but I was just wondering, like, was there anything while using it that you were like, oh, I didn't realize I'd have to be concerned about that, or that became a thing that you had to be mindful of? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the getting everything in focus above and below the water. That's something I didn't realize. Like I first started shooting it, and this 10 millimeters, a 2.8 lens, I was starting it at 2.8. And I'm like, I'll let the most light in like I normally do. And the underwater portion was just so out of focus. It was not even funny. So that's why you notice all these settings are at like f8, and at 10 millimeter, that's a lot of depth of field, but it's still like not perfect. And so I still need to do some testing. I want to find, especially with that lens, but I also want to find with this new lens, this 14 to 30. That's one of the main reasons I got it, is because like this works great, but this bird was absurdly friendly. It's not a lot of places I can get this close consistently to a bird without scaring it and that sort of thing. So 14 to 30 is going to be much better to be able to have just a little bit more focal length, because what I realized was when I tried 24 millimeter, which we do have a 24 millimeter lens or multiple of them. 24 millimeter wasn't quite wide enough to really show all the underwater portion. Like it kind of crops in like right around here. Like there's between 24 millimeter and 10 is a massive difference. Wow. And so most people are like, 24 millimeters wide, and it is. But when you're doing this kind of stuff, I really want to show as much of that underwater portion, and it felt like cropped in too much. Like it felt like this is what 24 millimeter would have felt like. And it doesn't have that sort of like immersive feel in the same way as you'd get when you get what that 10 millimeter does, right? But I can't get close enough most of the time for 10. So I feel like that 14 to 30 is going to be a sweet spot in between. And I want to figure out for all these really wide lenses, what's my optimum aperture and focus distance, because I've done a little research and I think I can figure out like there's basically some like settings that I can get the proper aperture and the proper focus distance and just get everything pretty much in focus above and below. And I won't even have to worry about autofocusing on my subject. I can just point and shoot at that point. So I got to kind of learn that, test it, and figure that out. So that's something I can do. And I could probably do it in a pool somewhere and play with that, you know. But that's definitely a challenge for sure. Yeah. Definitely. Yep. But it's fun, man. Yeah, it sure is. It's also just so cool being in the water.
Yeah, no, it's really unique stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like you don't see a ton of it, so it's, you know what I mean. Like it's got that unique feel, and it's really really cool.
I'd love to get you a chance of playing with it at some point. You know, if we can figure out somewhere to mess around with it, I think you would just get a kick out of like just playing with it. Yeah, I know. I've thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there might be a couple locations for duck. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Dude, I have to say, I'm like pissed at myself. It again, like we said in the beginning of this thing about like everything crazy busy and trying to whatever.
Yeah.
So you had made a comment just a little bit prior about the auto capture.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing that that's the other thing that
had that amazing grouse.
I knew. Well, there was I tried a couple times this year, and I was so stupid because originally back when Ray and I came up with this whole topic, like I was like, oh, I got this idea, and then, you know, everything was happening leading into this year, and I was like, oh, I'm so pissed, like, because that was one of the other. I know I was gonna pull it up while we were chatting. I was gonna try to go through my stuff and send you a couple shots or a couple ideas.
I just don't know what episode you did it on.
But just while Ray is. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, even while Ray is talking about that, so that, you know, just I won't go into too much of it because I don't have a lot to share. Obviously, I don't have anything to share for it. But I think
I don't think I have it.
You know, Ray and I both. I think it's something we've played around with it a little bit this past year. I don't know if that is on Ray's list of things either, but I think it's something we want to incorporate more. I think we both realized there was a struggle with the settings and with how it reacts, and I don't know if it's something we're doing that needs to be dialed in.
I take full responsibility,
or if it's just I put it all on Nikon. Like, it's all their fault. No, but I think there might be a little bit of both. Like I think there are some tweaking that could probably be done with this thing because there are scenarios where I think Ray and I both realize it's like, how is this not working? Like this should easily work in this scenario, and then it just doesn't fire off. It just fails. But I think we've both seen like huge potential in it. I did. I mean, I worked with it. You know, my eye opener was the grouse.
Yep.
I talked about it before on here, and I think I've definitely shown images of it where it just worked fantastic. Left this thing, it shot for 2 hours, I think it was like an hour. Came away with like a couple thousand images. It worked super, super well. You know, and then I did try messing around with it with the spotted sandpiper.
Oh yeah.
Almost. I did get 1 or 2 shots, but you know, conditions didn't work out so well on the actual water. But that was a scenario where it didn't fire. So then I just switched it to like full on motion. Like I opened the settings way up, and it was just like shooting. Like every time the water would move, it was just firing off. Like, I was just getting so many, but it was a short window of shooting opportunity I had anyways. I was like in a rush. I was just there, and like the camera was.
That's what happens to me every time.
From me.
I don't set aside the time to learn it, and then I think to use it when I'm in the field and I have a situation, and then I'm just like scrambling to try something and hope it works. And I had good luck with the long-tailed Jaeger in Alaska up in Nome.
Yeah,
I did get him really coming back in on prey. Yeah. But then I recently tried it with the pika, and it like failed. You know, like I watched him go in front of it, and it never shot. So like, I need to really sit down with that thing at some point and like make it a priority to understand it more, because it's an amazing tool built into these cameras. Absolutely.
Like I see, to me, there's so much potential. That thing is like fantastic.
I think I can combine it with the underwater too.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like once you start thinking about it, there's so many areas that you can incorporate. And the other beauty about it too, for me, is like, you know, you think about it in a wider scenario, but it also works in like a telephoto scenario where if you got a certain perch, like a kingfisher or whatever, and he's getting this perch, right? You could easily set it up on that, walk away. As soon as he lands, bang, like it's gonna fire off because it's detecting the when it works, it detects the subject
in
and
theory.
It shoots off. In theory, it worked very well.
Yeah.
So, I think I can kind of vouch for both of us. I think it is on our to-do.
Absolutely.
Play around with it a bit more. And
glad you brought it up.
It's, it was fun. So my other thing was not necessarily a new lens, not necessarily a new technique, but to get out of my own way to start scouting more and just going to new locations. And I did a little bit of it this year.
You did.
This one particular spot was like eye-opening to me. I got a wonderful chance to photograph that pied grebe, which was only like my second time ever photographing one, and just got some killer stuff. But this location I was aware of. I remembered visiting it years and years ago, I believe, and for whatever reason didn't think it was great. But it was back when like I wasn't getting in with chest waders. I didn't have a float pad. Like I didn't have the means to get myself down to the pond to kind of get in it and shoot. Where before I was just stood up and I'm like, this is no good. Like I can't, whatever. So I think that's a big thing for me going into this year. You know, the other thing I was going to add on to, like, not only wanting to go find locations, but I'm leaning and I'm starting to transition that to get away even more from, like, putting the pressures on myself of, like, social media, posting every day, doing those things, which has been a limiting factor on why I scout and go to different locations and take that risk that, you know, this new location may not work. I might not get anything. Or the fact that I have to go back to this location multiple more times to fine-tune it to get that better shot. Yeah, and to be okay with that. So like this particular location, I'm super excited about for this coming spring because I've been aware that there's an American bittern that hangs out in this area.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I see the lighting, the kind of, you know, the potential that that is there, I think there's a good chance I'll probably come away with some of my better. So I have a few shots of bittern, but dude, I mean, they're so tough.
Yeah, same here.
To get, you know, clean shots. So I believe I can get some really cool stuff here. I'm hoping, if not more duck, waterfowl stuff. So
totally.
Yeah, so I think I really
that's a great idea.
It's on my list of real priorities this year to pull back, stop putting pressure, but get out there, explore, you know, like tying back into my first item that I kind of talked about here with the wider stuff. How am I going to do it if I don't go to these? So I have areas already that I've kind of like spotted in my head, like taken note of, that I'm going to go and venture out, scout, that I think is going to give me more potentials to do some wider stuff. But it takes me scouting and just getting out there a bit more. Yeah.
Definitely. And then lastly, we always have just pushing ourselves even more on our workshop in Newfoundland with the seabirds, you know, and like seeing what else you and I can come up with there, man. That's like a fun thing every year, you know? And I feel like
it is.
I feel like we do it every year. I mean, is this our fourth year coming up running it? I think it is.
Yeah, it will.
This will be
it's
year
true.
4 running it.
Flies.
Yeah. And actually, we'll do a little plug here. We actually have like a handful of spots left on our second set of dates. Our first set of dates are all sold out. So we got a few spots open. If anybody watching is interested, I mean, it's an amazing workshop. You will not regret it. It's such a good time to get to hang out with both of us. And we will do exactly what we're talking about here, right? We will push you and your photography into new areas, and you're going to walk away with some new skills for sure, you know? Plus just, it's incredible. And Newfoundland's amazing. That's why Emily and I are getting married there this year.
Oh, I know. And the thing is, dude, like, it makes me, like you just said, this is going into the 4th year, or we're done 4 years. Like, we've had repeat customers come back already in such a short time. Like, and simply because they love the place.
Yeah.
Right. It's not necessarily that it's like, oh, I got to do whatever. Like, you hear from them, just, I love it. Like, we get people that are coming just on their own, like afterwards kind of thing too. Yeah. So it's such a great feeling to know, especially for me being from Newfoundland, because I know the beauty that it has to offer, and just the friendly people, and just the atmosphere, just everything. And, like Ray speaks highly about trying to focus all his workshops on an experience.
Absolutely.
It's not just about capturing these amazing images, which you're guaranteed to do, but
of course,
just having an experience that you're going to walk away with, and just feel excited, not only to look at your images afterwards, but just like have all those wonderful memories. So yeah, like you said, we got a couple spots left with the second grouping. So get in touch if you'd like to join.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with that, hour and a half in, let's wrap it up. That was a good episode. It was fun to kind of revisit like these ideas, and also I think it's so fun to not just pick out like favorite images, but like these techniques that we're like working on, and seeing what came about from them as a set this year. And you know, it'll be really fun to see where it goes next year with the evolution of these concepts and techniques and everything. And I think it really, to me, goes to show there never is an end to this, you know? I mean, you've been shooting wildlife for how many years, Brad?
I guess this would be going into 16 years for wildlife.
Yeah. So, and for me, pretty much the same thing, right? I started wildlife in 2006. So I guess coming up on 20 years. So we've been doing wildlife collectively an incredibly long time, you know, and we have very different lifestyles, right? I get this advantage of being able to see new locations and new subjects all the time. Brad is set in a home location, which I think connects with a lot more of the viewing audience. But we both, in our way, are able to find new ways of seeing this, new ways of approaching wildlife photography, and continuing to push ourselves and our creativity along the way, and not getting bored and stagnant with it. And I know I really do truly believe it never ends. It's just never going to end, you know? And that's the beauty of it, you know?
Yeah. And I think, you know, it never ends as long as you're open and willing to try and fail.
Yes.
And maybe then succeed and have that, whatever, you know, you succeeded at, be now part of your arsenal of things that you can do when you go out. But I think, you know, I know there's people out there, they're like, urban stuff, I want it natural, I want to be out in nature and all that. And I'm all for that.
Obviously.
Any time I can be out in nature. But I think there's something fun, especially when there's downtime, especially when, for whatever reason, you can't get fully out in nature. Then, you know what? Submerge yourself into urban. Just get crazy and funky and wild, and, you know, throw all those notions out, and just, like, if it fails, who cares? It failed. But you're going to learn.
Exactly.
100%. Because I'm sure Ray going through that urban stuff, it was all composition based. Like, you were heavily mentally composition, where, of course, sometimes stuff out in nature's reactive, and it's like, we're just taking whatever. Here, you have time to play and put elements and look at lines and look at things. So all of that moves forward. Then when he's back out in nature, like, you know, doing the other stuff, you're probably going to see more lines now that you maybe never thought about in nature that you'll probably try to incorporate. You never know, right?
Exactly.
So just get out there, have fun, just, you know, keep it fresh. It's, you know, and allow yourself to do it. I think even for myself, to speak for myself, not always get caught up in the social media stuff and the feeling I've got to, you know, post all the time and be present all the time, that, you know what, if I'm working on something, pull back. Who cares?
Yeah.
Just be, you know, focus on that project. And, you know, if you produce something, great. If you don't, oh, well, just move on to the next thing. So, yeah.
Absolutely, dude, man.
It's been a fun year.
It really has. And I'm glad we did this episode in this way. This was a lot of fun to kind of see
me too.
and go through and talk about. So, yeah, glad you suggested it and we figured it out. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, one more time, thanks so much for the supporters of the show. We really, really are grateful for you and appreciate it. It means a lot. And we will see you all next week.
Take care, everyone.